Deep sleep is wherein your body really heals itself.
In terms of how many hours do you need, how early do you need to be sleeping, and how early do you need to be waking up.
So, sleep is affecting four main things.
If you're not getting good quality sleep, you're actually undoing all that good work that you're putting in.
So, there can be two kinds of barriers, extrinsic or intrinsic.
So what's the importance that something like that plays?
Stay away from screens.
And on your own to get to know more.
A micronutrient balance is so important.
Most people are nowadays taking magnesium glycinate for better sleep, giving them good amounts of amino acids.
Your lifestyle, into your routine, and ensure that you're starting to repair that damage that's been done over the course of many years.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Wellness Blueprint. Today, as usual, we're joined by my co-founder Rishabh and also one of our most prominent wellness experts, Dr. Garima. Today's episode is going to be all about sleep. We're going to discuss the various factors that improve your sleep that are important to talk about when it comes to sleep. All about sleep. So over to you, Dr. Garima. I think we can start with the aspect of sleep itself and what it is and why we need it. So if you could shed some light on that.
All right. So, sleep is way more than just rest. It is an active biological process. We all do it, but most of us don't really know about it, right? Sleep is wherein healing happens. This is where memory and learning gets consolidated. This is where your body really learns how to recover and even fight infections. So that being said, the gravity of sleep is best understood by those people who are actually sleep deprived. Now, sleep technically comes in cycles, and there are repeated cycles of the same. It starts with NREM and REM, that is rapid eye movements. So NREM starts with NREM 1, wherein you will basically be transitioning from wakefulness to sleep. So this is wherein if you wake someone up, they'll be telling you that I wasn't sleeping. I'm up, right? And from there, you transition into NREM 2, wherein your brain waves start to change by a little. And from there, you transition into deep sleep. This is where the real magic happens. This is where the growth hormone is released. This is when the tissues start repairing themselves. It could be your skin regeneration. It can be bone repair. It can be muscle repair. It can even be DNA repair. So deep sleep is wherein your body really heals itself. From there, we enter REM sleep. REM is wherein you start dreaming. So this is where the cognition comes into play. This is what's important for you to consolidate all the memory, process all the emotions. So when people say, I'll sleep on it, this is why sleeping on it is actually helping them out, right? So these cycles, they are more or less for 90 minutes and they'll keep repeating one after the other. So after REM, again, there's going to be NREM 1, NREM 2, deep sleep, REM, and so on and so forth. In the early part of the night, you're going to have more of deep sleep, which means that this half of the night is for you to recover. This is for you to rest. This is for you to repair everything that was going wrong. People who are deprived of sleep go into inflammation because the repair is not occurring. The second half of the night is for REM. This is wherein you're consolidating everything, you're processing everything that's happened to you. This is building experiences and learning from out of those. Now, when this gets affected, mostly often seen in people who keep waking up or in people who wake up early in the morning, their cognition gets affected. The moods are rather unstable. They get agitated very easily. And sometimes the reaction time gets affected. So this is how sleep functions for you. And this is why it's extremely important.
Sure. I think for everyone who has, of course, gone through different stages of sleep in their own lives, when they know what they're like when they've only slept for 4 or 5 hours versus what they're like when they've slept for 8 to 10 hours, right? So I think the important thing is to make that distinction for yourself and figure out what your kind of ideal sleep zone is, right?
Correct.
In terms of how many hours do you need, how early do you need to be sleeping, and how early do you need to be waking up to feel your best and wake up, energized and recovered from the previous day's events.
Absolutely.
So I think maybe if you could shed a little bit more light on why that's so important. What are the different issues that can arise due to a lack of good quality sleep?
All right. So sleep is affecting four main things primarily. Number one is your cellular repair, right? So when people don't sleep well, their body goes into a state of inflammation. Their tissues don't heal well. If they've worked out a lot, their soreness is going to linger for a much longer time. The second thing is your brain function. Brain affects both your mental ability, your mental agility, and also your cognition. So anxiety, mood instability, or poor reaction time, poor decision making, all of these things start to occur when you've not slept well. The third thing is your immunity. Sleep is something that really determines your immune system's memory. So, people who don't sleep well, these are the ones who are very prone to infections. Plus, because the body is already inflamed, it sort of just adds to the cascade of diseases. The fourth thing that sleep affects is your metabolism and your hormones. Cortisol, insulin, leptin, ghrelin. So it's been found that people who don't sleep well usually have higher appetite and lower satiety, which is what leads to insulin resistance and them eventually gaining weight. So these are the things that will get affected when a person has not been sleeping well because of the systems that are responsible for managing those are not being recovering.
And I think over time, especially, there is a level of degradation that can occur in a person's day-to-day experience also if you are getting less than ideal sleep every day, like if it's, let's say, occurring for 10 plus days, or 14 plus days if you're in a period of, let's say, overstimulation, or you are going through a stressful kind of life change, etc. These are the things that can lead to potentially less sleep and less quality sleep also over time, which can lead to a whole host of different imbalances in the body, right? Let's say that someone is working out and trying to achieve a certain goal in terms of losing an amount of weight or gaining some muscle and looking better, looking fitter. All of the work that you're putting in during your wakeful hours to improve that condition or work on that aspect of your physical health, even if it's, let's say, recovering from an injury, for example, right? If you're not getting good quality sleep, you're actually undoing all that good work that you're putting in. So maybe you can also shed a little bit more light on the common barriers and the things that people have to look out for when it comes to getting restorative sleep and identifying certain things which are getting in the way of that.
All right. So usually when we're taking consults, the main idea is to understand what has been leading to lack of sleep, right? So which is, as you mentioned, to identify the barriers. So there can be two kinds of barriers, extrinsic or intrinsic. Extrinsic would be anything related to their lifestyle. Maybe they consumed a stimulant before sleeping. Caffeine is the most common one. Alcohol follows caffeine. Maybe they had a very heavy meal right before bedtime. That also, because it sort of kickstarts your rest and digest, but this time the entire intention is on digesting food, not helping you rest. It affects the way a person is going to be sleeping. Sometimes it can also be because of busy work schedules. Maybe people travel a lot because of work or otherwise, and they don't find time or proper duration to fit into their sleeping cycle. So these are all going to be your extrinsic factors. Intrinsic is anything that they've been dealing with. And maybe they have chronic inflammation. Maybe they've been dealing with lots of aches or pains. Maybe there are certain other stressors that have kept them up over the night. And these factors are very important for us to identify so that we can sort of plan or learn how to combat these barriers. So especially during consults, the two main things I ask my clients is that, number one, what is the duration of your sleep? Is it 3 to 4 hours, 7 to 8 hours? And then if it's interrupted or non-interrupted. If it is interrupted, we need to find out why. Is it because of some gastric issues? Is it because the pillow is not proper or the mattress is not comfortable? Is it because they have been dealing with any urinary incontinence, frequency or urgency? And then we sort of try to address those issues accordingly to create the best and the most suitable sleeping environment for them.
Sure.
I also hear that optimizing the sleep environment and your sleep routine is very important, right? So I think on that subject, I think it's important to have very solid bedtimes and wake up times. So if you want to be in bed by 10 a.m. and let's say wake up by 7 a.m., then that's a good 9 hours of sleep, for example. But I think also making sure that the environment that you're sleeping in is optimal, making sure that it's a cool place, dark, especially in the morning, right? When the sun comes up, if it's bright and sunny in your room, then you're bound to wake up and not get enough restful sleep. So what's the importance that something like that plays into
That
sleep?
plays a huge role because what you're talking about is a person's circadian rhythm, right? And you should always respect your circadian rhythm because not just your sleep, but also your metabolism, the way you process food or you burn your calories, it's all going to depend on this. Now, if you don't respect your body's natural biological clock, and maybe today I'm sleeping at 10 p.m., tomorrow I'm sleeping at 1 a.m., this really affects the way my body has learned how to restore and recycle all the energy sources and then ensure that it's repairing. Usually, I always recommend clients that figure out your own routine. Most people will be free by 9 p.m. or so. Start indulging into calming exercises. Some people go for meditating. Some people go for journaling. Some people even sort of prefer having some soothing music being played, or they sit in warm lights. Figure out a pattern and start preparing yourself to sleep at least 1 hour prior. Set up an environment, as you said, because that plays a huge role. It has to be calm, it has to be tidy, it has to be comfortable. And only then will you be really able to unwind and let yourself fall asleep.
Right. And I think in today's day and age, with the importance, with the amount of focus that's come onto blue light and the exposure to blue light, that's something that we should also speak about. I think
Screen
there's
time is
there's a certain
definitely-
amount of time before bed that you should start blocking the blue light, right? So that your system is now ready to know, like it knows that it's now time for bed and time for sleep.
Yes. So blue light is something that suppresses your melatonin production, which is a natural sleep hormone. It is produced by your body and it is produced as per the circadian clock. So ideally, when you are unwinding and when you're planning to go to bed, this is also the time that preferably people should indulge in digital detox. Try to stay away from screens. Try to make sure that the environment is warm lit or dim lit. And then the process becomes better. One thing that actually helps is that if people during this time can actually, even to a small extent, have red light exposure, it works in a way that's completely opposite to blue light. This is something that helps produce melatonin, which in fact influences or sort of regulates your sleeping pattern eventually.
Sure. I think when we talk about sleep hygiene and wind down rituals, right? These are the ways that you can, let's say, categorize and even do a lot of research on your own time and on your own to get to know more about things that you might identify with and a ritual that our viewers might be able to, let's say, incorporate into their daily life. Because, for example, for me, as someone who really prefers to sleep in a cool and dark room, that's a part of, like, let's say, my sleep hygiene basics. That's what I'm doing to ensure that I am able to, let's say, recover from my days, like, let's say, physical efforts that I'm putting in, whether that's playing sports or working out, etc. And also ensuring that once the room is, let's say, dark enough and I put my screens and everything away, I'm able to, let's say, actually just focus on myself and my breathing and fall asleep in a very natural and calming way, rather than a lot of people, what currently the experience is you're waiting for a wave of, let's say, complete tiredness to hit you, rather than, going to sleep on your own terms. A lot of people right now are waiting and staying on their phone, etc., and waiting for, the last kind of possible moment until your body is so tired that it just kind of passes out. Now, that's not necessarily actively kind of, curating your sleep. You're just kind of letting things happen, which are not necessarily the best for you. And I think especially with older populations, we look at, it's even more important for them, because that is a time in which sleep can become more disturbed, or nightly rituals, or let's say sleep timings can get really kind of, haywire. So maybe that's something that you can talk about a little bit more as it comes to, let's say, how do we begin to support people as they look for the right rituals, the right routines, and are able to feel like they're able to go to sleep at the right time, as Rohan mentioned, and also wake up feeling well rested.
All right. So, as we mentioned, that the first thing you need to do is figure out your biological clock, figure out what is the time wherein you start feeling a little tired, and by then you just want to either lie down, stretch a little. And then once we have understood that this is probably, let's say that for me, it's 11 p.m., right? So for 11 p.m., I need to start unwinding somewhere around 10 p.m. This is when I'll make sure that my room is dim lit. This is when I'll make sure that everything is organized. This is wherein probably I'll play some soothing music, or I'll introspect. And in this meantime, I need to make sure that I've not had any stimulant. I'm not eating anything other than my dinner, which was almost 2 to 3 hours before my bedtime. Right. So all of this ensures that your body is internally ready for you to go to bed. Right. After this, everything just follows. But then making sure that you also have a proper wake up time is important, because if you are able to wake up, let's say around 6 a.m. every day for 1 week, your body will automatically learn how to wake up around 6 a.m. eventually. And this is what most people notice whenever they start waking up around some same time, 6:15, 6:10, and they'll be like, you know what? I wake up automatically. I don't need any alarms anymore. And this is exactly what sleep hygiene should look like.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good goal for everyone to strive towards, because that shows a kind of good cadence that you're maintaining that discipline, you're maintaining that consistency. And yes, the reliance on alarm going down is definitely a sign that you're moving in the right direction, for sure.
I think another subject that our viewers would definitely be curious about is the importance of nutrient supplementation or nutrient support when it comes to sleep. I think there is a lot of focus on why a micronutrient balance is so important to induce good sleep and healthy sleep. So could we shed a little bit of light on that? What nutrients we should be focusing on?
Absolutely. So certain nutrients that are actually important for neuroregulation are going to be magnesium, B vitamins, and certain small amounts of trace elements. These are the ones that can easily either be used in a supplementation regime. Most people are nowadays taking magnesium glycinate for better sleep and reduction of soreness or improving muscle repair. And most importantly, if we understand that a person is deficient, then the ideal approach is to start with the IVs first. Some people, wherein we realize that the main factor that this person has not been able to sleep is because they have high inflammation or they've been dealing with any chronic conditions, giving them good amounts of antioxidants, vitamin C, glutathione, giving them good amounts of amino acids or taurine. So, all of these things will also help in ensuring that their body has enough resources to heal and also to sleep in the most restorative manner.
Right. So a little while ago we spoke about melatonin, right, and
Yes.
how it plays a huge impact.
Yes.
Plays a huge role in sleep. So we know a lot of people nowadays, and I think we all hear about them, who are taking melatonin supplements to help them sleep. Is that something that is recommended? Is that something they should be doing all the time, or is it okay to just do it once in a while?
Look, melatonin is something that's readily produced by your body. It is produced in accordance with your biological clock. So, ideally, if we do everything right, we need not take a supplementation externally to make sure that it's available in my body to induce sleep. However, I understand that this cannot be possible at all times. People deal with very different phases. People deal with a lot of stressors, be that work or in their personal endeavors. And that being said, taking melatonin sometimes, as and when it has been prescribed by a professional, is okay. But if you're taking it over the counter or just because it's available readily as a supplement, it may not be advised because this really changes and it increases the dependency of your body onto an external source instead of actually producing it by itself.
And I think one more topic moving on from that is the importance of recovery technologies and how much that's spoken about in the world nowadays. And we at the Wellness Co are also focusing on that to some extent. I think if we speak about PEMF and negative ion therapy, that's something that we know plays a huge impact in sleep and does help in terms of inducing better sleep. So could we speak a little bit about that and how that helps?
So, pulse electromagnetic field is something that's mimicking the Earth's natural magnetic force, right? This is important for me as a healthcare provider when I feel that this person has a poor sleep cycle because it's going to restore or regulate the bioelectrical patterns in a person's body, which means that now their circadian clock is going to be regulated, which is automatically going to help in better sleep. Of course, the ones that we use at the Wellness Co also has negative ions, which means that now the person's stress levels are going down, the cortisol is going down, the happy hormones are coming up, and that automatically creates a better environment for a person. Another kind of I would say a restorative therapy that we often use in terms of sleep management is red light therapy, as I've already mentioned, because this is something that naturally helps produce melatonin. But also, red light is something that works in conjunction with near infrared to ensure that the circulation in the body is getting better. So, automatically, the pain and inflammation goes down, which, if these were the precursors of poor sleep, are already taken care of. And the last therapy that forms the foundation of good sleep is going to be hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Hyperbaric is wherein I'm giving 100% pure oxygen under a pressurized environment. Now, this is important for me because all the areas in my brain that are responsible for regulating my sleep are also provided with oxygen so they can function better. It helps reduce neuroinflammation. It helps improve neuroplasticity, both of which are going to be essential in ensuring that my brain waves or my brain signals are getting better. So all of this helps together. PEMF, red light, and HBOT together in a conjunction are one of the best trio when you're working towards sleep management.
So when we take all these therapies and all these devices into account, what we're really looking at is a layered healthcare protocol. This is a lot of what we rely on at the Wellness Co for most of our clients and for most consultations. This is how the recommendations are structured, right? So I think incorporating and having the awareness of these technologies is very important because if someone has suffered from, let's say, a lot of damage to their sleep routine, these are people who are, let's say, not been sleeping very well, not been feeling very rested, and it's been, let's say, a chronic issue for them that's recurring and has happened consistently over a period of time. That's when it becomes really important to make sure that active recovery and taking these technologies best kind of benefits into mind is really important. That's where you can start to integrate these into your lifestyle, into your routine, and ensure that you're starting to repair that damage that's been done over the course of many years potentially, and make sure that you can get back to a good balance within yourself. And I think when we look at the other kind of realm of devices and other realm of technologies that's also available. Another thing which we really look at is the circulatory benefit therapies, which make sure that the temperature differentials, which is something that your body really responds to create a better immunity. So maybe that's something that you can talk about a little bit more as
Yes,
well.
absolutely. So, when we're talking in terms of thermal therapies, the whole idea is that they need to improve the circulation in your body. They also need to ensure that the pain and inflammation is going down, the muscles are not sore anymore, and that your body has the right opportunity or the circumstances to just relax. Okay, so therapies such as far infrared sauna or total wellness capsules are the ones that are actually going to restore circulation, enhance the way your body is recovering, and ensure that you're not feeling sore or stiff anymore, which happens to be one of the main factors wherein people are not able to sleep. That happens to be a very important addition in those people wherein they've been dealing with chronic pain or stiffness that's led to them not sleeping well.
Sure. I think that's another very important point because as Rohan and I have experienced a lot during our kind of course of being athletes for many, many years, anytime you have pain, stiffness, soreness, or you're carrying an injury or something like that, that really gets in the way of getting good quality sleep because you're always tossing and turning or you're worried about that particular part of your body. So I think another very important aspect to keep in mind is if you are feeling any level of discomfort while going to sleep, that you do identify those warning signs early, right? And you go and see a physiotherapist or a healthcare professional to make sure that you are evaluating that pain for what it is and taking the right steps to start to make it better.
We've spoken a lot about sort of technological interventions and things like that that people could incorporate to helping themselves sleep better at night. Moving forward from that, what are just a few things that people could do at home? Couple of tips and tricks that could help them sleep better at night.
Creating a better sleeping environment, trying to ensure that you're not taking any stimulants, trying to ensure that you have taken the last meal of the day at least 2 to 3 hours prior to your bedtime, ensuring that you're also putting in efforts to fill in or replenish all the deficiencies that are there in the body, most commonly with magnesium or in terms of vitamin C, B complexes, so on and so forth. Also, incorporating technologies as and when recommended or whenever deemed fit. And of course, with these, it is always ideal to talk to your healthcare provider to ensure that you are the right candidate and you're not contraindicated for any of these therapies. And lastly, we can always turn to wearables. Nowadays, a lot of technologies have come which are accurate enough to sort of hold a mirror in front of you and let you know that these are the gaps in your sleeping cycles. And this would ensure that the person has enough information to take decisions regarding better sleep cycles and have more control over it.
Right.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important point. With the wearable technologies that are available today, I think a lot of people who are, let's say, struggling with their sleep or feel like they're not getting ideal sleep should definitely look into getting a sleep ring or a Whoop or having an Apple Watch, etc., tracking their sleep routines, making sure that they are being accountable to themselves to go to bed on time and wake up at a decent hour, get that plenty of rest, evaluate and see how much REM sleep am I getting, how much deep sleep am I getting, how much of the time am I spending awake, am I waking up multiple times during the night. These are all the ways in which you can have a more nuanced conversation with your healthcare provider as well. And they can also make certain recommendations when looking at your data set and your unique kind of profile.
Exactly. And with sleep, I would always reiterate, and I always do to my clients, that it is a very active biological necessity. And whenever you're cutting corners with sleep, that's basically you borrowing energy from tomorrow. And you will end up in a sleep debt, and it comes with multiple physiological manifestations. And it's always just better to sleep on time, wake up on time, and make sure that this part of the problem is always taken care of.
Right. You heard that, guys. Don't cut corners with your sleep. Focus on it. Get good sleep at night. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of the Wellness Blueprint, which was all about sleep. I hope it was quite informative for you all, and we'll see you on the next one.